Welcome to this episode, another episode on weight loss. It's not like we're only just going to talk about weight loss in this podcast, but I think this is a conversation that needs to be had. And I think it's best we share all the knowledge we have about weight loss and weight loss remedies there is out there. So we have talked about Ozempic, and Ozempic is not just the only drug there is in the market for weight loss. It is one of the most popular at the moment, but it is definitely not the only one. There is what we have possibly mentioned previously, Wegovy.
Yep.
There is Mounjaro. There is the very old school, and it's been used for years, Orlistat. But again, no one talks about a drug like Orlistat, and I think it's a good drug. The side effects is not as severe, and it's an easy drug to use. It's not injectable, so that's good. So Steph, let's start with Wegovy. Let's just talk about Wegovy.
Yeah. So, if you don't know what Wegovy is also another weight loss medication, just like Ozempic. It actually contains the same drug as Ozempic. It's just a different brand. And you use it the same way. It's also an injectable. You inject it once a week like Ozempic. It basically works the same as Ozempic. It suppresses your appetite, so you don't need to eat a lot. You feel less hungry. So this is, I say, it's the second Ozempic basically. The manufacturers basically just rebranded Ozempic, but with this one, it actually has a higher strength. You go all the way up to 2.4, whereas Ozempic is just 1 milligram. But with this, they have 1.7, they have 2.4. So second Ozempic, but with a higher strength. It has a similar, the same side effect profile as Ozempic. So you still have your gastrointestinal side effects, your vomiting, nausea, diarrhea, feeling fatigue. So nothing new there. You still look out for patients with if you have pancreatitis, if you have thyroid issues, please do not take it. But Wegovy, the only difference is that it is licensed for weight loss.
It is. It is licensed for weight loss.
So that will put you at ease.
I think it's worth mentioning that when it comes to medication, every drug has got an indication that can be used. It can be used for, right? And every drug has got its licensing as well. So in regards to Ozempic, we have previously mentioned it is not necessarily licensed for weight loss. It has been used for weight loss, but it has been used off-label. Now they go back and people are using this for weight loss. So the same company goes back and they're like, okay, we need to do something here, and maybe they do some sort of reformulation. It's still the same exact generic. But what they do is they get a license for this drug now called Wegovy to be used for weight loss. So that is the only difference with Ozempic and Wegovy, isn't it? That one of them is actually licensed for weight loss, where the other one is not. The licensing for the other one is actually for diabetes, type 2 diabetes.
Yeah. And there's actually another one as well it's for diabetes and can also be used for weight loss, which also contains the same drug as Wegovy and Ozempic. Is also called Ribosas. And when you look at these things, it's very funny. All these drugs contains the same medication, but then different brands. But with this one, the Ribosas is actually a tablet. It's in tablet form, unlike the Ozempic and Wegovy. So for those of you who do not want to inject yourself, maybe you have needle phobia, you may want to opt for Ribosas because you take it orally, which I think is better. I don't like needles, so I'll recommend for the tablet. But also the Ribosas is not licensed for weight loss. It's also licensed for diabetes, but then you have the off-label use for weight loss. So
for weight
that's
loss,
the only thing about it.
And I think it's very important that people know about all the alternatives there is in terms of formulation, because there is someone who possibly might not be comfortable injecting every week, which is what you have to do with the injectable weight loss medication. And there's someone else who might want, just 1 week, you're done. Now you have to just do your work in, changing your diet and your lifestyle, and then you have to wait for another week for the next dose. So it's very important that we all know what the formulation there is out there. Just so you know, you've got an option. You can pick either you want an injectable or you want sort of like tablet or capsule formulation.
That's right.
And
One thing,
they all work the same way, don't they? Like they all
yeah,
literally mimic what we call the GLP-1 hormone. So they literally all work the same way. It's worth mentioning that.
yeah, yeah. One thing I have realized is that some patients like to interchange these medications, but I think
Mm,
people should be careful. I think you should just stick to one. I know there are like some shortages of them, but mixing of these medications, going from one medication to the other, you please be careful. I mean, we already said like there was like a tragic death like with this Australian woman where she
mm,
mixed like the weight loss medications. So although like some of them do contain the same drug, please be careful. Do not mix them together. You know,
yeah,
finish one. If it's not working, talk to your health professional so that they can go through different alternatives for you, the appropriate one. But
yeah,
do not take on your own decision and be like, okay, since this is not working, let me move on to Olista, let me move on to Saxenda. Please seek for advice, okay?
yeah, yeah.
Do not mix them.
That
Do not
conversation
mix
is
them.
very
That is very
important.
important. Yeah,
It is.
that is
It
very, very
is.
important.
And
Yeah.
healthcare professionals will have the knowledge to give you what other alternatives there is and maybe go through tests because I suppose if one drug is not working, you can't just move to another drug. Maybe some tests
Mhm.
need to be carried out. And like just to see how is your blood responding to say one drug,
Yeah.
because if say your body, sorry, if your body is not responding very well to one drug that is very similar to a drug that could be an alternative, chances are you'll probably respond the very same way. So with you jumping from one drug to the other, you're not doing your body any favor because
Yeah.
all you're doing is that sort of cooling off period, which is the time where sort of like ensuring that if there's any side effects that it sort of like passes and your body gets tolerant to that. You're doing that for every single drug. So you're putting your body through such a long period of enduring
Yeah.
some of these side effects. And
Mhm.
that can be really, fatal. Let's just be
Oh, yeah.
honest here. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Totally agree.
Yeah.
Agree.
And now there
Yeah.
is Orlistat, which has been used for donkey years. I think when I started working as a pharmacist, though that was probably the only drug that there was out there that was quite
Yeah.
popular, wasn't it?
Yeah. And
Yeah.
they have another one. Is it Ally or something?
Yes.
I think
Yes.
it contains the same as Olista.
It
And
does.
these
Yeah.
drugs have been there for so long, and now
Donkey
all these
years.
new ones have overtaken them, are shadowing
Yes.
them. These are basic ones that people can use as well, and
Yeah.
they contain like the side effects are less
Yeah.
than the newer weight loss medications.
Hmm.
And Olista, I like Olista, I
Right.
think it's a very simple
It
medication
is.
that you take one a day with meals. Is it with
Hmm.
meals? I
It
can't
is
even
with meal. So
remember.
I think it's
Yeah,
one
with
tablet
meals.
with
Yeah.
every main meal. So if you have breakfast,
Yeah.
lunch, and dinner, and they're all three, sorry, main meals, you take the tablet. And when you don't
Yeah.
take a main meal, you don't take the
Do not
tablet
take it. Yeah.
because it works with with the fat content in the food and sort of like
Yeah.
just helps not absorb all of it. So what
Yeah.
happens with all this that is you get a lot of fatty stools. So a
But
lot
it's
of
still
oily stools. Yeah, a lot of
oh my
oily
goodness. I
stools with
remember a
Olister.
story.
Yes. Oh
Like this
no, go on.
patient. Yeah,
Yeah.
there was this patient that came. I was like, at that time, I wasn't qualified as a pharmacist, and he
Right.
came to buy like all this stuff. And then, like later, when he came back, and I was like, "Oh, this medication you gave me, I've just been passing some really awful, awful oily stools." I was like,
Oh
"Oh
my.
my god!"
But
Like,
see, people are told that this is a side effect, so it should be. I mean, honestly, some of this medication can cause some really bad side effects, right?
yeah,
But if it's coming out, I wouldn't care. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, it's not like you have to look at it. Okay, what is that? So
yeah,
because so just breaking it down slightly, all this that sort of decreases the fat absorbed in the body, and that's why you
yeah,
have to take it with main meals. Now, what happens is by decreasing that, it's coming out. It's almost like a sieve. So it sieves the fat and then it kind of gets rid of it. And of course, it's going to get rid of it one way. You're not going to sweat oily, like, do you know what I mean? Oily fat. So it will come out as an excretion. So it will come out in stools. So the oily stools is very normal. But you say that, Steph, but I have a friend who also was on Orlistat and she was like, oh, no, 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 no. The oily stool was not for me. And I'm like, why are you looking at your store? Like most people just flash it down. But I feel like people are actually worried about the wrong things when it comes to Olistat because the oily
Yeah,
stools, you're not looking at it, you're not seeing it. It's just there. You're supposed to flash it,
exactly.
you know? It is. I feel that maybe before starting any others, things like Olistat are a good drug to start with
Yeah.
because it
But
has shown to work.
yeah, the issue with people, they want an instant result. But
That's
with
it.
Olistat, it takes a while.
It
It takes
takes
a
a
while.
while. It
That's the
does.
thing. So,
Mm-hmm.
but the bright side of things is that the side effects are a lot more tolerable. Let's
That's
put
it.
it that way. I
Yep.
mean, I would rather have like oily stools than, be puking my guts out. And I
That's
hate
it.
puking.
That is
Yeah.
it. I mean, I think with most weight loss, there'll be some sort of GI upset. So with
Yeah.
with Orlistat as well, but you can't compare that because of the way they work slightly different. Orlistat
Yeah.
will, as you said, will have tolerable side effects compared to say the likes of Ozempic. So
Yeah.
it is a drug. Personally, I would recommend. I don't know about you,
Yeah.
Steph.
Same here. Same here. I think it's a safe drug. I
It
like
is a safe
Hollister.
drug.
Honestly, I love it. I love it.
I mean, the
Yeah.
safest drug is gym and lifestyle
Yeah,
changes,
yeah,
but
yeah.
but
True.
Orlistat is actually not a bad drug.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And we did mention there are other few weight loss medications as well. Um we didn't mention Saxenda,
Yeah,
Victoza.
Victoza
These medications are actually for
for
diabetes, but
diabetes.
people still use it off label for weight loss,
Yes.
as but they're also quite good,
Yeah.
if you want to
Yeah.
lose weight and you have diabetes, I would opt for those options as well.
That's it.
Yeah, get the
Let's
best of both worlds.
I think it's just easier to put it this way. The way diabetes medication works, because of diabetes is all about glucose levels. When your glucose levels are very high, and glucose is,
Mm,
when you eat loads of food, there's a lot of glucose in foods. When your
yeah,
glucose levels are high, what happens is you get hyperglycemia, which is diabetes. Now, what these drugs that aimed for diabetes are doing is they're bringing that down, and that means
mm,
that you're kind of suppressing your appetite. So a lot of diabetes drugs might end up actually working good for, I suppose, weight loss
yeah,
candidates. So most diabetes patients might experience weight loss, and that's why sort of these two come hand in hand, diabetes and weight loss. But it is also, I think, Steph, is very important for us to mention that a lot of these drugs are literally life or death for diabetes patients. So,
yeah,
as much as we want people to benefit from these drugs for weight loss, if you need it, let's also bear in mind as a society that there is someone whose life actually depends on this drug.
yeah.
Without this drug, it could cause complications to their health. So we put that
That's right.
first, that this drug is off label for some people. That means that they're not necessarily licensed for what you're trying to achieve, but for someone else, it's actually their way of life. It is what they
Yeah,
use to survive.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I think that is very right. That is very right. One thing I also wanted to mention is that whilst on like these like weight loss medication, it's quite important to check on like the person mental well-being, as
Mm,
well as like weight affecting your mental well-being. Like some people have like they feel embarrassed when they're overweight, but some of these medications as well, I've they've been an impact on their mental well-being. I don't know
definitely.
whether you've heard, but I had some patients who were like, "Oh, I've been on Ozempic," but I also realized that I've been having some like suicidal ideation. I
Oh,
don't know
yeah.
if you had that, but some patients came to me and they were saying
Yeah.
that, and I
Yeah.
think it's quite worrying, and people need to be aware of it. you
Yeah,
know?
mental health versus.
So if you're on these medication, have the talk with your doctor. Your doctor may want to screen you to make sure that like your mental well-being is also intact,
Yes,
because you never know. You
that's
never
it.
know. Yeah. So I think mental health is a problem we'll be touching on. It's a
We
problem we'll be
definitely
touching
will
on.
be. We
Yeah.
will definitely be.
Yeah.
So
You
keep
know.
tuned, guys.
Yeah.
Keep tuned. We will talk about
Yeah.
all kinds of topics here, including topics, as we said, taboo conversations. So topics that you might not want to have with your doctors or your local pharmacist. We're here for you.
Yeah. Good. Thank you for tuning in today. We hope you enjoyed this episode. Remember, a healthy chat is a step towards a healthy life.
If you have any topics you'd like us to discuss, drop us an email at consultationroompod@gmail.com. Our Instagram is @consultationroompod. See you next week.